like to call to order the Proctor City Council meeting for Monday, July 15th, 2024. Could you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll perform roll call at this time. Councilor Benson?
Present.
Councilor Reuter?
Present.
Councilor Johnson?
Present.
Councilor DeWall?
Present.
Mayor Ward's also in attendance, along with City Attorney Henke and City Administrator Rich. Please let the minutes reflect all others in attendance. Looking for a motion to approve the City Council meeting minutes from Monday, July 1st, 2024.
So moved.
Councilor Reuter made the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Johnson. Any further discussion? Just had one correction in those minutes. I spoke with Megan earlier, but Councilor Reuter was absent and present. If we could just fix that.
Absent and present.
Yeah. You're magical, that's for sure. Any other discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion passes. Looking for a motion to approve tonight's agenda. I'll make a motion to approve tonight's agenda. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Reuter. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion passes. Brings us to comments and suggestions from the citizens present. The public comment and suggestion period of this meeting is when the City Council offers a time for everyone in attendance or watching from home to address the City Council. Once we move on from the public comment and suggestion period of the meeting, members of the public will no longer be allowed to address the council unless the mayor acknowledges you. As a general rule, the council will listen to all comments made by speakers but will not comment on or respond to any comments. The council will not engage in dialogue. However, any council member can ask questions. If you'd like to address City Council during the public comment and suggestion period of the meeting, please come forward to the podium or dial 218-628-6289. Before you begin, please state your name and address for the meeting minutes. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes. Anyone addressing the City Council will be prohibited from using obscene, profane, or threatening language or boisterous conduct that disrupts the meeting or the security of the public. Is there anyone at this time that is interested in participating in the public comment and suggestion period of the meeting? Please come forward to the podium or dial 218-628-6289. Representative Zeleznikar.
Thank you, councilors, and I'm happy to be here. I finished my first term in 23-24 session, and so most of you know we had a $17.5 billion surplus, and that's been spent. And we also increased the surplus beyond that, the spending increased by another $10 billion. So the government grew 40%. And the issue right now for Proctor, I think, in the rest of the districts in the state is going to be for the schools because we had historic investment in public education, which was fantastic. I think the difficult and frustrating thing is we're also seeing historic layoffs and budget cuts, and Proctor's not unique to that. And so as we see this unfold for the state of Minnesota, it's going to have repercussions for the state. And so I'm hopeful that we'll be able to get more funding to the classroom. We grew the Minnesota Department of Education by 23%. I want to see more of the funding come back to Proctor and to the rest of the school districts. And so I'm happy to report to you that the grant passed. I'm on the workforce committee. I wrote a grant for Proctor. The superintendent of Proctor will lead that. I've been working with the trades, and I've been a big proponent to get the trades back. I was in health occupation class in 10th grade. We need to get CNAs back. We need to get the trades back so we can have housing and infrastructure solid. And the grant went through for, I believe it was $174,000 for this school district to work with a partnership between ESCO and Hermantown. Proctor's led the way. In my opinion, I've toured the houses that you build. I've seen your neighborhood that you build. It's fantastic. And Superintendent Jetton will do a great job coordinating that for the future. So my hope is that we'll eventually be able to do a bonding bill to do a regional excellence for the trades in this area to work. We need to have that. Equipment costs a lot of money. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. So working on that right now. And then obviously the city utility expansion here is priority. I was the house author for that too. And I'm hoping we'll get the bonding across the aisle. this next session. We got it done in Rice Lake in '23. Unfortunately, bonding didn't happen in 2024, but I'm hopeful it will 2025. So we got great opportunities coming. We got plenty of issues to face in 2025 because the surplus is gone, and we grew government by 40%. So the appetite isn't strong for the citizens to see their tax base increase. So we're going to have to really figure out how to make sure we preserve core services, public safety, education, roads and bridges, making sure that we get it done for Minnesota. So happy to be here. I don't know if anybody has any questions.
I just got one thing to say. Thank you for
Yeah.
your work with Senator Hochschild and that grant funding along
Yeah.
with the EMS work that you guys were working on. So big items that were coming up to greater Minnesota. So thanks for your hard work on both those
Yeah,
items.
thank you, Mayor. And I forgot all about that. I'm on the task force for EMS and the Aging Service Task Force. So I've been traveling. I just traveled with the community, New Ulm to Iowa to see best practice for innovation for Center of Excellence for aging, for communities like Proctor and northern Minnesota to see what communities can do, because we have a very aging population up here, and many rural communities do. So if we have closures in nursing homes, it's going to have a domino effect for all of us. We're all getting older, so if we're lucky enough to have a lot of birthdays, I want to make sure we have care in place. So I'll be working hard on that too. But thank you.
Yes. Any other counselors have anything? Nothing? Oh, Counselor Benson.
I was speaking with a colleague down in southern Minnesota, and he was concerned with the number of smaller hospitals and medical centers in those communities closing, and the anxiety that it's bringing to his communities.
It is a big issue. The hospitals, I've been on hospital calls weekly for various hospitals, but as they are closing, or they're closing specialty services, a lot of them are closing OB, they're closing down entirely, or they're closing services. So that's the ambulance issue too. We're escorting people in ambulances from one hospital in northern Minnesota or southern Minnesota to a big metropolitan area. It's tying up the ambulances. And so we have a multiple prong issue happening. So to your point, Councilor Benson, it's spot on. We've got a lot of issues. On top of that, I've been touring to see the jails, where we're doing with sex offenders to figure out how we're going to deal with that aspect of it on public safety, and also the hospital side. We have 50% increase in civil commitments, and so we have people waiting in jails, we have people waiting in hospitals, and we need treatment centers to place them in, to have them safely cared for, and the hospitals are struggling financially to make ends meet, similar to what happened to the nursing homes. So that decompression is really important, and then funding them for the critical access hospitals and so forth.
Thank you.
But, yeah, thank you. Thank you all for your service, and thank you for letting me speak.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Anyone else willing to speak or wanting to speak? No phone calls, I'm assuming?
No phone calls.
Okay. We'll move on. Looking for a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda.
So moved.
Councilor Johnson made the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Benson. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion passes. That will bring us to 6A, Whitfleet 2023 Audit Report. Rob?
Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to come and speak before you tonight, and for allowing Whitfleet to continue to provide professional services to the city. As you've probably heard in the past, you hire us to come in, take a look at your books, and provide you opinions on the financial statements based on the information that we look at. And I'm pleased to share with you tonight that the opinions that we provide to the city for the current year are no different than they have been in the past. I know you may have been looking for a change in opinion as it relates to the public fire pension portion of the plan, but because of the timing of when the city entered into that system and when they do their actuarial studies and provide the information to the municipalities, you had entered after they had issued their most recent report. So in the future, I foresee that that qualified opinion will be going away because the city will have appropriate information in order to do the disclosures and adjust the numbers as they should. Otherwise, the financial statements themselves, the opinions are the same as they have been in the previous year. Unmodified opinion is what you're looking for, and that's what we have provided on the financial statements. Just a heads up, the management's discussion and analysis, that's the pages 6 through 12 in your financial statements. Not going to go through that information, but that gives you a brief summary of the important highlights that are included in the financial document itself. Not too many people like to sit there and read 82 pages of the financial statements. So if you want to give yourself a brief overview of where the city stands at the end of the year, that's a good overview for you to take a look at and ask any questions should you need to. The remainder of my comments are going to be focused on the general fund and your business type funds, because I found that's typically what councils are most interested in, because the general fund is your operating fund of the municipality, and your business type funds, a lot of times the questions come around, you know, are rates sufficiently covering our expenses? Do we need to be looking at rate increases, items of that nature? So the general fund is included on pages 15 and 17 of your financial statements, if you want to make a note of that. On page 15 is the balance sheet, and typically the number that we focus on there is the fund balance in your general fund and where that stands in relation to expenditures of the general fund as a whole. At the end of 2023, the total fund balance in your general fund was just a little bit over $5 million, about $5,055,000. Of that amount, unassigned fund balance was approximately $1,946,000, or an increase of about $1,261,000. That unassigned fund balance represents 38.49% of your total fund balance in the general fund. If you compare the unassigned fund balance to your general fund expenditures in total, you'll note that that comes out to be about 63% of total expenditures for 2023. Net income in the general fund in 2023 was approximately $993,000. And if you look at the general fund budget to actual, which is on page 19 of the financial statements, that gives you a better idea of what you budgeted for net income in the general fund and how that compared to where your actual revenues came in. And the increase was generated about $586,000. You realized more revenues than what you had initially budgeted. And then in the general fund, you spent approximately $173,000 less than you had budgeted. So when you look at those two amounts, that basically comes up to where that net income difference comes about. And on page 19, it shows you the different categories of revenues and expenditures, whether it be taxes, interest income, items of that nature. Moving forward to your proprietary fund activity for the current year, And that can be found, bless you. That can be found on page 22 is basically where the income statement for the proprietary funds is found. The Public Utilities Fund had a positive increase in net position of approximately $693,000. Municipal Liquor Store was positive about $35,000. Sewer utility lost about $10,000, and the golf course increased by about $7,000. But that increase was mainly due to transfer in from the general fund of about $20,000. If you wouldn't have had that, you'd have lost right around $13,000. Other items that we typically share would be in the back of the statements where we look at the schedule of findings and responses. And the only item that was different this year is we had some adjustments related to recording activity related to bonds that had been issued. It was split across a number of funds, and we just worked with Leslie to make sure that the expenditures and due tos and due froms between the funds got split across the funds rather than leaving it all in on the governmental side. And then on the Minnesota legal compliance findings, we had one, there were 2 days that we found where the collateralization was inadequate, but within a day of month end, the collateralization was taken care of. One of them happened right around a holiday weekend, so it makes it a little bit more difficult to be able to move money around because people aren't working. And then there was a contracting issue as well. Other than that, we also issue a smaller, I think it's like a 4-page document that you should have received, and that's called our required disclosures letter. We're required to communicate that information with you on an annual basis as the governing board of the city. Included in that letter, if there were any major items that we found, we would bring those to your attention in that letter, like if we had any disagreements with management, or if there were unadjusted differences that weren't posted to the trial balance in the financial statements, we would identify those for you too, so that you could determine or see the magnitude of what those unadjusted differences were. And we also identify in that letter what our responsibility is in regards to the audit and what your management's responsibility is in regards to the audit as well. Overall, the audit went well. It's a pleasure. This was my first year working with the city, and Zach and Leslie and Jessica, and you know, it was a pleasant experience on my part. I don't know if they would say the same thing, but nobody likes auditors. I would open it up for any questions that you may have on the statements themselves or any of the information included.
Council have any questions? Councilor Benson?
So overall, city received some good marks.
Yes.
And some of the deficiencies, that's pretty common in most small, mid-size governments.
Yes. The financial statements especially.
Yeah.
There's not too many municipalities, even in larger municipalities, a lot of times they have very seasoned individuals. But as you can see, the financial statements include a lot of information and basically are presented in 2 different accounting methods. Part of it is full accrual, part of it's modified accrual, along with full accrual. So it is difficult for a lot of municipalities to be able to prepare their own financial statements.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Any other questions? Hearing none, we'll entertain a motion to accept the 2023 audit report presented by Whitfley.
So moved.
Counselor Reuter made the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Counselor Johnson. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Rob, thank you for your work.
Thank you very much for your
Finance
time.
Director Brunfeld, thank you for your work as well.
Thank you.
All right, that'll bring us to item 6B under new business, museum project. Jim Schwartzbauer.
Thank you. Jim Schwartzbauer, 827 Almac Drive. And first, it is not a museum project. It is a project I'm leading, and a number of things were sent to you. But real briefly, I've been an educator for 30-plus years. And in that, I always would be talking about something called Rosie the Riveter when I did World War II. It wasn't until I ran into a Proctor individual, class of 1945, named Claire Schumacher, that I became aware there was something called Mesabi Misses. After that, I became aware of something called Millie the Miner. And then Winnie the Welder. Someplace across the country it's called Wendy the Welder. And I was at a unveiling of the David Wheat statue, and at that, I had an opportunity to talk to Tim Cleary. And I said, Tim, it would be really nice, I'd like to do something in memory of the individuals from the Proctor area that worked on the railroad during World War II. Thinking of Claire and others. He, however, had some other things that he had to take care of. He entered a nationwide competition and won that opportunity to do the Nellie Stone Johnson down at the state capitol. Very impressive to be able to accomplish that. After that, John Marshall talked him into the next statue that you see. If you've had an opportunity to be out there, I think that ought to do with John Warner as well. Good people. And now we have some time. And in that time, I've asked him to look into it, and that's what you see. An opportunity to put 4 statues out by the train. Since Proctor during World War II was basically 75% of all the ore that came and was utilized to make steel came through here. So this is an opportunity to look at the Millie the Miner, the Mesabi Misses, the Winnie the Welder. The 4th one, that's where we look at something that I've already heard some people talk about when people talk about the trades and expansion of the trades. The 4th one will deal with the NAWIC, the National Association of Women in Construction, which has a chapter here, and in the Iron Range. You know, the people from World War II, the women wanted to work after it was done, but they did the patriotic thing. They were asked to go home and let the men that came back from World War II to do those jobs. Now we look at the women and we say, we really need them in the trades. And so this particular 4th statue will deal with that. The other thing that I sent to you was an example of a series of, I guess they would just like, it's not posters, it's not banners, it's what you see when you go out if you have not had a chance to look at the Engine 225, the work that Russell Haberman did. If you have not looked at it, that's what I'm looking at putting up there in regards to that as well. And in doing that, I'm looking at 2 different places that will help in that area as I do the research. One is, of course, LSC, because I had a chance to work there for a long time, and I know Brandon Leno very, very well. And the other one happens to be sitting back there, and that's what Proctor has established. And I'm going to talk to Ted about some way of looking at and taking a thing from a retired teacher named Phil Johnson from Proctor called Track and Back, articles of people that were there before. I'd like to look at Track and Back. I'd like to be able to tell those stories. I'd like to be able to have those so people can come in and see those things on those walls so they understand what that is. And then, of course, I'd also like to be able to get those things out into the general public by saying, all right, it was tracking back, now it's moving forward. So there'll be a lot of people that will be contacted. I'll be putting a small group of people together. We'll be going to various county commissioners whether it be Lake, St. Louis, Douglas, because those are the counties that are involved. It'll be going to elected representatives, such as people sitting here, who will see about different things. We'll go to places like U.S. Steel and CN and other places, and we'll go after what we call the $5,000 plus people. And the statues themselves, you don't have to have all the money up front. Maybe it's going to be almost like a competition. Will the people from the Iron Range be able to raise the necessary funds first? And that's what Tim Cleary will start working on. And I also put in there that Tim Cleary says in his nearly 30 years in being a sculptor, he now has a female student like he's never had before. That's phenomenal. She is going to help with that. She is putting together some drawings, some sketches for that. I look very forward to working with her and Tim. But this is a project that Tim has wanted to work on a long, long time. And I've been excited that I can finally get him here, and it's a 2-year plan. You can see what it says. Saturday, August 8th, 2026, grand opening of it. Why that date? That's the 63rd anniversary of the moving of the Yellowstone 225. So that's in a nutshell some of the stuff. Not looking for money, but just letting you know that I want to start working on this. And I'll know within 6 months whether this is a go or not, based upon conversations I have with others. So a handful of people going out, talking to different people, explaining what the project is, explaining why we need it, and in hopes that this being ground zero, basically, for World War II and everything that happened. If it didn't occur here, the war would have went on much longer because we would have had the steel necessary to be able to carry that stuff on. So the women played an integral part here, but all across the country. I have looked to try to find out how many what they call Rosie the Riveters are out there. Maybe a dozen across the country. Biggest one's in Richmond, California. The second biggest one is the Smithsonian. Other ones are kind of almost the iconic Rosie the Riveter. We are not looking at the iconic Rosie the Riveter. We are looking at what was depicted by a welder. What would they look like? We have plenty of pictures of that thing. You know, the railroad and others took plenty of pictures of those. So we'll look at that. But it won't be one individual. No. The actual programs, actual stuff you'll see when they come here, that will be the stories of those women and what they did and how they helped the war effort. So yes, Congress did in 2020 pass the Rosie the Riveter bill and gave them that honor. And yes, at the 80th anniversary out at D-Day, we did see 1 or 2 Rosies that were out there, but there aren't many left. Klaus Schumacher has passed. Others have passed. Most have. But that doesn't mean you don't do this for them. So I'm passionate about it, as you can tell. You know, when I take on something, those people, I think you pretty much know me, I go after something. I do think we'll be able to get the money. I think it's something that will be emulated across different parts of the country. We'll also work with Proctor Tourism, because we do want people to say, this is a great place to come to look at this. This will be on their radar to come and check this out. So I've spoken enough. I've certainly opened any questions you might have in regards to this. But again, this is a project that I'm not asking for funds. This is not an historical society project, though I will work closely with the Historical Society since I'm a member. But it's letting you know that we would like to be able to put those statues and everything else out near the train, but not on right-of-ways of the road, obviously. So.
Council have any questions for Mr. Schwarzbauer? Hearing none. What are you looking for from us?
That's a great question. I'm looking to say, is there something you want from me other than keep you abreast of what's going on of the project? Certainly meeting if there's something that needs to be done that we need SEH or something with wires or something else out there, obviously coming forward. But just let you know, it's on your property that I'm asking to be able to move forward on this project with.
Yeah, and I think it's a neat idea. Women did play a pivotal role in the war efforts, and to pay tribute to them, it's a neat thing. I'm not opposed to putting statues on city property, but I don't know what council feels sitting here today. But I would say go fundraise like Jim does, and yeah, keep us abreast on what you're hearing out there.
And on a quick side note, met with Bob Lambert up here today. We measured the 1910 plat map. Bob will be building a display to put it in with a piece of glass over, and then we'll be finding out where you want it hung here. We still have some money left from the Irving grant to be able to take care of that and put it out in the hallway so it can be displayed. So that again that's on a side note, but certainly, we want to see it out there.
Council have anything further?
Oh, good luck.
Well, thank you. Looking forward to it.
Good luck, Jim.
Yeah,
Thank
you bet.
All right, with that, that'll bring us to members' concerns. Councilor Reuter.
I have nothing at this time.
Thank you. Councilor DeWall? Nothing. Thank you. Councilor Johnson?
Just a reminder, the community picnic is Thursday night at St. Rose, and it'll be inside from 4 to 6.
4:30
to 6.
4:30 to 6.
36, yeah.
The other thing is, don't know if I saw the recharge station is going to be down at Circle K, down by Spirit Mountain. They're going to put one in.
Oh, okay. I didn't know. Did you know? Oh,
Yep.
cool. Thank you. Councilor Benson?
I have nothing, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. I got a few items. Thank you for the reminder on the Medevac Area Churches Together picnic this Thursday. Filing opens for 2 city council seats and the mayor position. That'll be Tuesday, July 30th, and it runs till August 13th or 14th, I believe. Chief Elquist gave us a report last meeting, and I failed to mention it, so I'm going to bring it up today. But second quarter call totals as of July 1, 2024. They had 33 fire calls, 4 of which were for mutual aid to Hermantown. They had 99 medical calls, 5 of which were midway for mutual aid. 7 missed medical calls for a total of 139 calls this quarter and 269 calls to date as of July 1st. I'm sure we've had a few more since then, but. And another reminder on the lead pipe surveys. I think we're still working on trying to get those submitted, so if you haven't done your lead pipe survey, please get those in. And I know the residents' Proctor page was blowing up over the weekend over some parking issues. Just so residents know, if they are tuning in tonight, that City of Proctor did approve projects back in February for some chip sealing. It was a partnership project with the county. Administrator Rich sent a letter out in May informing residents of this and that there would be follow-up communication. However, we were not informed that the contractor was moving into the city over the weekend. The signs that were put up were not signs from the city. So there was a ball dropped and something happened there. I don't know if it was county or contractor, but again, we apologize for the inconvenience, and I did reach out to Commissioner Moosoff this morning to inform him of what was going on, and he was going to call his people in the county and try and get some answers to a resolution of what they can do to help offset some of these towing costs. So just wanted to put that on record. That is all I have. Chief Gatis is gone. Administrator Rich? Nope. Attorney Henke?
Nothing, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. With that being said, we'll entertain a motion to pay the bills in the amount of $121,852.89.
So moved.
Councilor Reuter made the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor DeWall. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion passes. Looking for a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Councilor DeWall made a motion to adjourn. Is there a second? I'll second that. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion passes. Thank you.